Carter, Miller, Petola,
Attending remotely from the city of Pontiac, Michigan, Mary Petola.
Stramsky,
Attending remotely from Pontiac.
Taylor Burks,
Attending remotely from Pontiac, Michigan.
Waterman,
Patrice Waterman, City of Pontiac, Oakland County.
Williams,
Unmute yourself, Mr. President.
Attending remotely from the greatest city in the world, Pontiac, Michigan.
Tell us to unmute ourselves. You're funny.
Carter, Miller. President, you have a quorum, but you need to excuse Carter and Miller.
I believe Miller is here, so I think she just needs to unmute herself so she can talk. Yep, call her again, Mr. Doyle.
Miller,
Yes, I'm here. I'm thinking you guys can hear me. I'll unmute myself, but it won't allow me to unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
yes, I can hear you now, Councilwoman.
Okay. Yes, I was there all the time.
Okay.
Attending remotely, city of Pontiac.
Okay, so now I need a motion to excuse Pro Tem Carter.
So move.
Support.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Miller,
Yes.
Petola,
Yes.
Stramsky,
Yes.
Taylor Burks,
Yes.
Waterman,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
6 yeas, no nays.
Okay. All right. We're gonna turn it over to Mayor Waterman to introduce the Finance Department. You have to unmute yourself, Madam Mayor. Okay, Mr. Carrington, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Want to just say, that we're covering the finance department. As you know, we have a number of different departments that'll be on the agenda for this morning. That includes the finance administration, our human resources, our treasury, IT. I think those are I think I covered everyone, and income tax. So we have various representatives that are here this morning. In addition to myself, we have our treasurer, Mr. Bawa. We have Larry Kosofsky representing income tax. We have our I know Ken Martin is here from IT, and I'll be representing human resources. So I think that covers everyone for the finance department end of this. I do want to just thank the entire finance department team for all their efforts with not only the budget and the work that we're doing, but on our day-to-day activities. And so I'll start with the finance administration. As you know, I joined during the kind of in the middle of this current fiscal year, and currently working with again, our team and everyone. We presented this departmental budget largely looking to continue the services that we're responsible for under the city's charter. And we're, looking for our ability to continue to provide those services, making sure we have the resources in place. And we've put together this budget seeking to meet that objective. So, largely, by and large, we are a personnel-driven department, and making sure that we've got the resources in order to fulfill that. We'll get more into some of the various departments that I have here this morning, and certainly want to touch on not only the things that we're looking to do from the expense side, but some of the things that we're looking at and working with when it comes to the revenue side, particularly on the income tax, working under the COVID environment for not only the collection of income tax on the revenue side and the issuing of refunds, but we've also been managing during the last calendar year and this fiscal year and going into next fiscal year during this COVID environment, and how that impacts upon our ability to handle our treasury operations and again, function in a pretty unique and sometimes challenging environment. So I just want to lead off with that. I'll certainly entertain any questions that we may have as it relates to the finance department or the finance administration before we move into some of the divisions that are represented here this morning.
Okay, Councilwoman Waterman.
Yes, sir. Thank you very kindly, Mr. President. And I want to thank the clerk for how he sends our information out to us. I'm gonna have to go up there and print it off, but I'm going from our book, colleagues, that we have. Let's go to page 7 of 67, and it's in Accounting Department 201. And you have under here other professional services. What is that for
Give me 1
$297,000?
second, just to make sure I get with it. Can you give me that?
Count number again?
Again?
Is that what you asked me, Mr. Carrington?
I'm sorry.
Did you ask me what's your count number?
And give me the page and account number.
Oh, the page is 7 of 67.
Okay. Okay, I'm with you, Councilwoman.
Okay, it's under accounting and other professional services. What is that?
So that there is reflecting the cost for the controller function that we have that's currently being provided by Plant Moran.
Plant Moran. Okay, is that how many people? Or is that just?
So we since the pandemic, since I've been here, it's been, they have not been able to be housed physically in the office. Generally, we have a combination of 3 to 4 people that are working on our account, on an ongoing basis, on a day-to-day basis, if you will. I think previously we had, prior to my getting here, we had 3 people that were full-time in the office here at City Hall. Again, we're continuing to work, with that same team. Generally, having worked with Plant Moran and other local governments, generally you will have a certain number of people or a certain number of resources that are generally full-time day-to-day. And then you have some others that are, working on a kind of less than full-time basis, but generally we're talking 3 to 4 individuals.
Okay, let's go to 101-202-818-061 and software services. It's on the same page.
Yes. Yes, that's going to be the cost for the city's main accounting system. Be it, we use BSNA. Within BSNA, we have different components to that, different modules. And so we pay an annual cost to
Okay.
maintain that service. All of our operational activities are done through BSNA, through that accounting system.
Can I go back up to 101-202-70200, salary and wages? Whose position is that?
You said 202-702?
101-202. $702,000. What position is that?
And is that the recommended amount of 86,000? I just want to make sure I got the right line item.
No, you got 77. It's 77 up to 79, I believe.
Yeah. So that's going to be our income tax administrator. That's under the income tax division.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is a big one I want to go over to. On the next page, on page 8, is 101-206-70200, salary and wages, and we're going up to almost $500,000. What is that, and who is that?
So included I did share with you all the personnel breakdown, included with the recommended numbers on the personnel side. We have requested and are recommending a deputy director be added to the finance department. As you know, we do contract out,
So we would be replacing Plant Moran and bringing this person in?
I don't want to give the impression that we would be able to replace. As I said, we utilize anywhere from 3 to 4 individuals at Plant Moran on a regular basis. So one person, a deputy director is not going to be able to replace that. We do, again, outsource a fairly significant amount of services, which is not uncommon for local governments, just given the nature of finance and accounting, and being able to professional people in-house. But we do want to try and find the right balance of in-house people with whatever out-house, out-serviced things that may need to be done. So we want to try and look at, changing some of the balance of services that we have as it relates to, in-house services versus contracting out. So the thought would be that by adding a deputy director, we would be able to do some additional services in-house and, bring some of those services in.
So that's a substantial increase there. So you're talking about just you and another person?
It's $90,000.
Yes.
It's $90,000.
One position at $90,000. It's just one. There's only one additional position at that rate.
Councilwoman Waterman.
Yes, Attorney Sharp.
Just while you're on that one, just a question to Mr. Carrington. So what positions do these actually include?
I think I had asked, but he never said. He just
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't get that.
Right.
Within finance administration?
In that salaries and wages, yes. The one that you just addressed, which positions do they include?
That has a director, a deputy director. There's the accounts payable position. There is a purchasing position in there. We also have a contracts and grants position that was in this year's budget that had been vacant. And I believe that's all in finance.
No, they also have a payable and receivables manager.
Yeah,
at
that was
$60,000.
one of the ones I mentioned. So we've got the director, deputy director, payables and receivables, purchasing, and contracts and grants.
And the last question would be, so the fiscal analyst position that's vacant, are you not bringing that one back?
And that was the one I was forgetting, senior financial analyst as
So,
well.
so it's still included in there. So you
It is,
still,
yeah.
okay.
So everything from the current year's budget is still included. As you know, some of those positions have been vacant during this current fiscal year. We still are including those in the budget. And that's one of the reasons why the numbers are down in terms of year-to-date activity. But we're still including those for the proposed budget, and we're adding the deputy director's position.
So I'm looking at a total of 7 positions. Okay. Over on page 10 of 67.
Yes.
101-253-702-000. Salary and wages. Who is this?
So that is our treasury team. We during this current fiscal year, I believe, Ms. Sekar can correct me, we did add a deputy treasurer. So in that division, we have our treasurer, we have a deputy treasurer who started back in September, I believe she started in the fall, Portia Prater. And then we have our 2 other team members in the treasury department. And Sekar, I believe
Yes.
we have a total of 4 within the treasury division.
Yes, yes. Good morning, Council President and members. We in the treasury, we are, it includes treasurer, deputy treasurer, head cashier, and cashier position.
Okay. Let me go to a few more, then I know my other colleagues might have some, but I have a few more that I would like some attention to, and then where's this at? I think it's one, I don't know, is that part of yours? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. 101 on page 15 of 67. You have 101-270-8180 other professional services. What is that? That's under personnel. Oh, let's go to 14 and then let's jump over there. Let's go to 14. You got 101-270-702-000 salary and wages. Who is that? And then where do you come in with this overtime?
I'm sorry?
On page 14 of
Yeah, I'm
67.
with you. I just didn't catch the last comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Salary and wages. And then when you go underneath that, overtime wages, when did we start paying overtime for non-union employees?
So I know up till recently, we are staffing in the personnel, which we commonly refer to as our human resources. It did include Esther Jimenez. And
Okay.
she, I don't recall offhand Esther's exact status, but my understanding is that she was an hourly employee versus a salaried employee. And generally with our certain hourly employees, we are required, if they work, as you know, beyond a certain number of hours, we are required to pay overtime. So I believe that was tied to Esther's, Esther's long-term service with the city of Pontiac.
Okay. Well, tell me whose salary and wages is this in 101?
Yeah.
270. Who is it?
So in that category, again, that's our HR division. We have 2 positions that have been budgeted, that are currently budgeted in that function. Right now, that those positions are vacant, and we're seeking to fill those. And so we're looking to continue to maintain those 2 positions. And those are the 2 positions that are in that line item there.
Okay.
What page are you on, Councilwoman Waterman?
I'm on page 14 of 67, sir. Now I'm getting ready to go to 15.
So that's the attorney page is what you're looking at? Because I'm,
Well, personnel is up under attorney. Look right at 270.
Department 270.
oh, okay. I see
Got
it.
it?
Yep.
Okay. Now let's go to page 15. For 101-270-818-000. What is this other professional services for $25,000?
I would need to check that to verify. I know through our HR division, we do have certain benefit related entities, for example, Meadowbrook that we contract with. I'll have to
Right.
take a look and confirm precisely what that is. But I know, as I said, we do maintain a number of different
Yeah,
outside.
but you have Meadowbrook in here that you paying Meadowbrook a fee of like $48,000 for Meadowbrook. So
I'm sorry, I
I
didn't catch
looked
that
at that
component.
too. So I need to know what that 25,000 is for.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go to page. Am I okay with everybody, colleagues, or somebody else want to jump in here? Am I okay?
Go right
I-
ahead.
No, I got one question, just while
Okay,
we're
go ahead.
on personnel and salary.
Okay.
When you came in, Mr. Carrington, we were supposed to transition out
Mhm.
Mr. Williams from Plant Moran. So when did that happen, and when was he no longer getting paid in the finance position?
So we are still continuing to, through Plant Moran, we still are utilizing some of Mr. Williams' services. As you know, we've had a number of vacancies. I've had to, for the last couple of months, take on the HR function. And so, we just have had a number of losses as in addition, we lost our purchasing person. And so from that standpoint, we're having to kind of reconfigure some of the services that we were doing. When I first started, we have 3 less people than when I first came on. Lost both of our team members in the HR division. As I mentioned, we lost our HR person. And we've had, some other vacancies that we had not been able to fill up until this point. So we have had to, in order just to maintain the day-to-day operations, as I've had to, spread my time and resources over certain areas that I wasn't before until the last few months, namely purchasing and HR, which particularly HR can be very time consuming. We've got the matter with the retiree healthcare, and there's a lot of activity surrounding that. So we've had to, just try and continue to utilize certain things in order for us just to keep things going on a day-to-day basis.
So, Mr. Carrington, part of us paying you the salary that we're paying was because Mr. Williams' salary was going to stop. So can the city council get a copy of that new scope of work that he is doing so we can track it? Because part of the bringing on was for you to have, I think it was 3 months at the time of transition, so you could be up to speed on the books. And so if he's
Sure.
providing some additional services and other things, then we need to be notified. And I believe we probably need to vote on that because that was not the agreement when we named the finance director to the city.
Understand, certainly. But again, I was just, certain, you realize.
Oh no, what I'm saying is you make an argument that you are doing the job of 4 other people, so your job description has changed without having a personnel director and some other things. So I understand that, but we need to be able to track that and know what's happening. We can't just assume and add Plant Moran to new things
Yes.
without city council approval, and that's
Okay.
what's happening currently.
Okay.
Councilwoman
Colleagues,
Waterman, go ahead.
Okay,
Yep.
as I was stating when he said about Meadowbrook, if you look on page 64 and 67, Meadowbrook is on there 659-854-818-082, and we are paying them $48,900. So that just to let you know on that, Mr. Carrington. Also, I guess I probably in dealing with that. You probably with this legal services for Miller Campbell, that 185, that was what for the for GERS is what that was.
That would be for the healthcare V. But
Right.
where are you, Councilwoman?
64 of 67.
Okay.
So that 185 with Miller Canfield, would that be as it relates to the healthcare, the retirement?
Yeah, that's going to be for
Right.
for the.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And all the healthcare, retiree healthcare that has been going on.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. One more other thing I had, and then I'll relinquish my time to whoever, and then if you want me to come back, I'll come back. There's one more thing I saw. Somebody else can answer because my pages are all mixed up right now. I have to find it and I'll come back to it if somebody else has another question.
Okay. Who else has questions?
Oh,
I have a
here we
comment.
go. I found it. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
have a comment. I don't have any questions today. I mostly have a comment, Mr. President.
Yes.
And, you know, I too looked over this stuff the last 2 days. These inflated numbers are off the chain. I don't even have anything to say today about this budget. It's positions put in, people getting paid money. We can't track it. And I'm just going to keep stressing to you, Mr. President, we need to go over this stuff. I looked at the personnel list of what people getting paid, right, versus what they were currently getting paid in the book. It's crazy. This is absolutely asinine crazy. I don't have anything to say on this. I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm done. I'm listening to Waterman. She's bringing up everything I highlighted.
Okay.
This is crazy.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay.
It's crazy. You go right ahead, Waterman. Keep going.
Thank you. Let's. Oh no, that's the wrong one. What about the overtime? That's IT, so that's not you.
Okay.
That's
While we waiting
everything
on,
else is going into IT in them. So the next division, I think I'm kind of good with him for right now. There's stuff I could say, but I'm ready. I could deal with IT in them, sir.
okay. Mr. Carrington, when is Plant Moran's contract up?
I believe it. Let me get that answer. I don't want to speculate. Let me get that answer for you.
Okay. I think that's my major question with Plant Moran and.
Is it under the contract?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Mr.
Would it be under the contract? Would it be under the contract page? I can't remember what page it's on. Will it be under the contract, the current contract?
Contact page is on 19, and I don't know if it was there. Let's look and see.
Yeah,
Okay, here it is.
I
It's
believe it's
6/30/21. It's the end of this month.
And I can't remember if it's 6/30 of 21 or 12/30 of 12/31.
It's 6. I'm looking at it right now. Plant Moran, 6/30/2021.
Okay.
So, but
And
they
then the
have.
other one, then Mr. President,
Mhm.
then the other one, and Councilwoman member, it says no expiration date.
Correct.
So
That's
I
what I
don't
was
know
gonna
what that means.
It was no
Yes.
expiration date because it was done by the emergency manager. Remember, I brought that to council maybe about a year ago. But what's concerning is that if that one is up in 6/30 of, oh, well, that's next year. But I guess you guys would need to.
No, it's this year. We're 21.
This year, that's right.
This year.
This year. So why hasn't been brought before council? I mean,
Right.
this is already May. So there again, it's going to be a last minute thing in terms of what you can do in terms of your options. But
Well,
yeah,
It's
the
done
other
by
one.
design.
and that is important. The other part is it's called additional assistance. And so what Mr.
Right.
Carrington just mentioned is the scope of work has changed for one employee. We don't know if additional assistance has changed and what that looks like. So not only will we probably need a copy of the contract, we would need to sit down and find out what that service is, especially if you're asking for new employees that may duplicate the work that you guys are asking for. So there's a senior financial analyst that's vacant right now, right? And then they're asking for a deputy finance director. So altogether, that's almost $200,000 that they'll be asking for, and wages and benefits. And if we're going to pay,
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
senior
yeah.
financial analyst is not vacant. There is an employee at that position right now. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I did not know that, Madam Mayor. So thank you for that clarity. Again, and welcome to the meeting. So
I've been
again,
here. I just jump in when
No.
I need to.
okay. Okay. So Councilwoman Pedala has her hand up, so I'm gonna recognize her.
I do. Council President, you just asked about the contract for, what is it? It's not Plant Moran. Yeah, it's for Plant Moran. You do know that the clerk has those, we can receive those anytime we ask them for them.
Councilwoman Pedala, one of the problems that we've addressed several times is the clerk does not have all signed contracts. And so that is a problem with updating the files. And I know they've been working with the clerk on trying to get him all the files, but he doesn't have all the contracts that are signed. And some of the things that may have changed since we've lost personnel people may not be in the clerk's office. So it's just important that as we go through the budget, we know what's there. And if they have a copy in the finance department, which Mr. Carrington is now our HR director, that also gets to the council, especially with changes in personnel before we decide to add additional staff to the city.
And then maybe we need to make sure that the clerk, the official record keeper of the city, has them all.
I agree, and we've stated that on several occasions. The clerk has sent emails to the administration asking for those previously. So this has been going on for several months, Councilwoman Pedala. And I'll let the clerk speak to that on what he has and the struggle he's had to try to get documents in the clerk's office.
Thank you. That's all
Thank you,
I
Mr.
have to say.
President.
That's all I'm interested in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as a matter of fact, your honorable body adopted a resolution that once contracts are executed, the clerk is supposed to receive them in 5 days. It's simply just not happening. So if the administration would adhere to the.
We've been aiding him with that, but it's once it's passed by the council, the clerk is the clerk of the council, and he's supposed to take care of the execution.
He's the clerk of the city. And
Yes,
what's supposed to happen, Madam Mayor, is once you execute the document, according to our resolution, that copy of the signed document should be going to the clerk. Many times the council passes a resolution and allows the mayor to negotiate or finalize what needs to happen, i.e. with the Phoenix Center contract. And so we didn't see those documents again until we had to request those. So I don't know in your mind, what is your responsibility as far as getting the signed executed documents to the clerk within 5 days? And I don't know what the hiccup is in order to make that happen. But we've passed a resolution, and that's all we can do as a council. We only work by ordinances and resolutions. We've done our part. And so once you sign a contract with both signatures, that should be with the official record keeper of the city, which is Mr. Doyle.
Try to make sure the clerk has the document and the packet. That's what you approve. So it's then the clerk, that's what a clerk does. He's supposed to go around and get it executed. So what we've been doing is helping him.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, you
Trying to
drifted
help
off.
make sure that they've got executed not only by administration, by the outside parties, but the clerk has the official document. It's in the packet. So it's his responsibility to get that finalized so it can be stored away in his official. That's what Sharika did. And that's what the job of the clerk is.
So Mr. President, if I may suggest that as opposed to passing resolutions that allow the mayor to negotiate the agreement, that the mayor only brings finalized documents to you. And if those finalized documents are brought to you, then you adopt those documents, and the clerk is more than willing to make sure that those particular documents get executed. If you pass a resolution that states the mayor gets to negotiate, then how would the clerk know when the document has been finalized? But as in most cities, and I will bring up the city of Detroit, that's how it's done before. They brought final documents to the city council. The city council approved final documents, and then the documents were signed.
So
Best practices in city government. So you may want to take that under consideration.
Yeah, I think the council is acting in
Thank
their
you.
own good.
Do they have a strong
judgment.
form of mayor in Detroit?
Yes, they did,
do,
Councilwoman
but
Peters.
excuse me.
Thank you. I'm
We-
sorry, Mr. President.
Yes, so we want to get back to the budget hearing. I guess the issue is we have contracts that are expiring in the next month that have not been brought to the council at all. We have documents that have not been signed by the mayor and then sent to the clerk. So there's documents in the city that have been signed by the mayor to be executed that are not copies of in the clerk's office with her, John Hancock, on those documents. And that is a problem. We've requested those in 5 days. I guess that we need to have a conversation at a council meeting, because this is not the place for it. But we need to have a special meeting about how we're going to receive documents and how finalized documents need to be given to the city council and the councils going forward, because any gray area that we have, they take advantage of to not do what needs to be necessary to make sure that the council has all the information. And so if we don't spell it out clearly for them, they will not adhere. So that's where we are. Councilwoman Waterman.
That is erroneous statement.
Okay, I'm ready to go to the next one.
Address
Thank you,
that, I
Mr.
will,
President.
but
Thank you,
Councilwoman Waterman.
Mr. Carrington. I think majority of everything that I was looking at, I brought to your attention. There might be a couple of other things that I will send to you that I need for you to look into, and I'll make sure my colleagues have it. But I think I got the major things that I saw that just jumped out at me. I brought to everyone's attention.
So if nobody else has any questions for human resources, we're going to go, for regular finance, we're going to go into human resources. If nobody else has questions for regular finance, we're going to go into human resources.
So, so moving on to our human resources division, as was, we did speak a little bit to this earlier. We have 2 budgeted positions that are in that division. We did lose 2 important members. One retired and one had an opportunity outside of the city, a good opportunity that she took with a new employer. And so we've been working internally to continue to try and cover that, to cover that the responsibility there. But we are continuing to ask for this positions, these 2 positions. We also want to try and understand that in the coming months, there will be a lot of changes that are going on. This division is responsible not only for our active employees, but as well, but in addition to that, for our retirees, and working with the pension systems, as well as the benefit providers for our retirees. And we've been very active recently in this area as we transition to our new VIVA. We've been working, and our deputy treasurer has been working with myself as we have had to have increased communications with a number of retirees and the like. We're, again, asking for those 2 positions to continue to be funded so that we can, continue to maintain this, which I consider to be one of the most important resources in the city, if you will, not only with our team members, our active employees, but we also have a significant amount of interaction with the city's retirees.
Okay, questions?
Well, Mr. President,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I went into majority of all of those when we came to the income tax. I asked about all those salaries and various things as it relates to that. So I don't think I have anything else to ask him when it comes to that, sir.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, I do have one comment. I'm looking at the HR. I also want to stress that I'm going to look at the old budget from last year. I'm going to tell you where I'm at, Mr. President. I won't say it just publicly. I'm gonna look at the last year budget, compare it, and inflating this stuff. This is asinine crazy. It really is. It's not. You don't know where they are. People working in positions that they are not. This is asinine crazy to me. I don't. It's my time to be better. I'm going to take the last year budget. I'm going to compare it, and I'm going to move from there. That's all.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have questions?
Mr. President,
Yeah, go
been
ahead. Pro Tem
silent for a
Carter.
long time.
Hold on.
Is it?
You need to state for the clerk where you're attending from.
I'm sorry. I am in Genesee County. I'm sorry, Ingham County in Lansing, Michigan right now at work. Mr. President, I've been unable to locate the employees that work for the city. It looks to me that we have a lot of ghost employees. It's very difficult to follow these departments and follow these people. I mean, we have.
I'm sorry, Councilman, when you say ghost employees, I'm not clear what.
I'm saying all the employees for the city should have been on the org chart, should have been identified. People, the employees, and even some as simple as a phone number. I'm not saying this got anything to do with the COVID. I'm looking at gigantic numbers of people that are employed or working at home. I could almost appreciate the people who would come into City Hall. Got people calling right now that nobody answers their telephone. So either there are no employees or everybody's working at home, nobody answering telephones. I'm just saying the org chart should have stated the name of all the employees. I said before, I thought there were ghost employees at the Pyrex Center. I've been there many times. I don't see 14 people there. I'm just trying to be real. And last of all, Mr. Carrington, I did ask you for, I did suggest that I did ask that I desired a copy of the comprehensive annual financial report and not the acronyms that I keep seeing for the city annual financial report.
Yeah, and I did try. You submitted that question towards the end of the council meeting. I did try and get a reply back to you. We do not have what's commonly referred to as a CAP or comprehensive annual financial report. That's not something that the city of Pontiac has historically.
Ideally, legally, it's available, should be available to the public. Because as of last year and the year before, the city had investments with the county. There are no investments being shown in this simple budget. That's the only reason I asked. I put it in the chat room.
Sir, with Councilman, I think you're kind of mixing some apples and oranges here. We're showing our revenues and expenditures, the monies that are spent and the monies that are brought in that the council has to adopt on an annual basis. When you start looking at the balance sheet items and what we have in investment accounts, if you have a question about that, we certainly can provide that information, but we're not hiding anything. And that information is not what's required to be or asked to be adopted. We're talking about an annual budget, which is our revenue and expenditure that flow through the city and the various funds of the city. What we have on our balance sheet is a completely different and separate item. Certainly they're related, but that's not what the item that is before the council during this budget process.
And I understand. I appreciate that, Mr. Carrington. I understand that things that happen over $10,000 that the council should be notified of. And I keep hearing all the information about emergency managers did, but when would the council ever go into the fact that Tony Saunders got hired? I mean, he's as a consultant, he's an EM. We never talk about him, maybe because he doesn't have the complexion to get the connection, but he's there. And on the finance books and the check receipts, he was getting $16,800 unbeknownst to the council. So unless we're going to pull up every check receipt and find out whether it's Tony Saunders or Vote or whoever's working on the retirement system, I'm just saying that we're looking at expenses, overinflated expenses that never came in front of the council for approval. Yes, the money's there. You can spend any money that's there to it's empty. But Mr. President, I suggest we go back to a year-to-year budget because we got expenses that are being carried out too far and we are not being properly notified, sir. We asked for a forensic audit. I think right now I am looking to suggest, and it won't be, it'll be now. I would just, Mr. President, I think we need to have a judicial misconduct of financial that's not being privy to the council.
Yeah, well, let me say, sir, I can say for me personally, but more importantly, on behalf of the people that work within the finance department that work for this city,
Yes, sir.
To either imply indirectly or directly that there's something doing that's, it's not. Look, everybody is coming here. I work with these people for 6 months now. Everybody's coming
I'm
here.
sorry.
A great deal of appreciation for folks and the professionalism and the ethical way in which they do things. As you guys know, I've been trying to manage everyone in the environment.
I'm sorry, there's a bunch of noise drowning you out. I'm sorry.
Okay, I muted everybody. If Pro Tem Carter and Mr. Carrington can unmute themselves, then we can go, because I had to get rid of the background noise.
Yeah, I just felt that again, I just needed to state, to imply that there's some type of nefarious activity that's going on. No one here is about that. That's not not what how we operate. I've worked with everyone here for 6 months. Everyone takes their job serious. You know most of these individuals that work here or have worked here. And I think it's really not just, we can have questions, we can have differing opinions, but it's not in anyone's best interest, or shouldn't be in anyone's best interest, to make those type of allegations that just don't have any type of support for them.
Mr. Carrington, I'm only going to suggest
do their job.
that all these expenses are greatly expanded. The customer service to the representative, to the residents, has not increased. I see people count, overtime count, police overtime count, but there is that same efficiency should be applied to the people. The people are not seeing, they're unable to contact planning, unable to get is code enforcement doing what I got 91 complaints right now. I'm looking at of people who've been calling and can't get through. I'm just saying, yeah, it's COVID. There either be a transfer of numbers that people need to answer phones. Maybe it's not in finance, but I'm looking at finance numbers right now. I'm looking at personnel numbers. Hey, either people at work, not at the city. Somehow these people, and these are my residents, 91 of them, are raising hell about everything, and they're not getting through. So if it's necessary, after the budget hearing, I will forward every one of their complaints to every employee in the city of Pontiac, just to make sure that somebody can answer. Again, I'm sorry, Mr. President, for being so long with it, but I think this increase in spending in our budget should be reflected, that the public is getting it's also receiving a share of efficient city operations. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Pro Tem. Anybody else have questions? Attorney Sharp?
I just had this for Mr. Carrington. So this is just a question overall, because I think I understand where, to an extent, of where the Pro Tem is coming from. My question is, how is it that a lot of these different accounts are so significantly over? I mean, they're in well excess of 10,000, and they were never brought before council for council to do any sort of budget amendment. That's the problem. I mean, a lot of these are significantly over budget, and they've never been brought before council for a budget amendment.
Part of that, I am and have prepared a budget amendment. I understand, the city's budget ordinance and the requirement to present a budget ordinance, a budget amendment to council. I've been working on that, and we'll have that before.
That's after the fact. That's after the fact. That's the problem. So I'm saying, how did that happen to get to that?
If I can just
okay, go ahead.
So some of that is due to the fact that me following through on my responsibility as finance director to get that information in a timely fashion. That's 100% my responsibility, 100% on me. in addition to that, I would just say, we do have situations where things are having to be oftentimes booked into an account, and they will subsequently get allocated to other accounts. Whether sometimes it could be fully, oftentimes it could be partially. So it's some of it is a timing issue. Again, my responsibility, and some of it is an accounting issue. But let me again state that we are all approaching this honestly. None of us within this department, on this administration, the people that I work with, none of us have any interest in trying to do anything less than what's in the best interest of the city. Again, we can differ on, have our opinions and differ on different approaches and so forth, but fully understand that the people I work with, myself included, I came here, joined this city, and I come in every day to work, trying to do my job and fairly and honestly. Doesn't mean people are going to do things that may not be 100% correct, or may be the subject of some debate. But I have no interest, as the leader of this department, I have no interest in trying to do anything that will reflect badly on the people that I work with. And again, I will and have been working on the budget amendment. I understand and I've heard the concerns at almost each of these budget hearings, if not all of these budget hearings, and we'll be taking that, taking that matter seriously.
Okay, Mr. President, if I might, so we can continue.
Yeah, I just have one question while we're on these pages. If you look at page 6 in the budget book, we have a compliance auditor and then a contract compliance / grant writer that's there. I think, Mr. Carrington, if you can provide the council with all of the positions that are vacant versus what's proposed, so we'll know what's there. We
Sure.
found out a couple of years ago that if people are already working in a position, we can't eliminate those positions through budget. So it would just be helpful to know what we're dealing with is who's currently on staff in the city of Pontiac. But if you can tell us the difference between those two, because I don't think I've seen those previously in the budget in that way.
What position were you referring to?
I'm looking at page 6, and right before you get to city council members, there's an outline of compliance auditor and contract compliance / grant writer.
Yeah, I
One
can
at
assure
62.
for you, I can step in here, Darren, for you. I can assure you that we need all the people who are on there. As you know, one of the positions that I brought to your attention and asked for your input, if you care to do that, a couple of the council people did have input, was the hiring of our deputy mayor. That's been a sorely needed position since our former deputy mayor left in September. So we have been on the search since then for a capable person. As you know, under my term that was of office, that's when I elevated the deputy mayor, which had been a part-time position, just to substitute for the mayor. I wanted to make it a professional position, and that's when I upgraded it to the level for city manager. And city managers are much sought after.
Okay, Madam Mayor,
So I'm just reminding you
I
of that.
asked about
Talk
2
about vacant
positions that's in the
positions.
budget.
Talk about,
Compliance auditor and contract compliance grant writer. I just need to know what the
Yeah.
difference in those positions are. And I was asking our head of HR, which is Mr.
we'll send you the
Carrington.
copy of the job descriptions.
Yes.
And just real quick, Council President, the compliance auditor is a position over at the district court. I did provide a subsequent document that listed all these positions by department. And so that position is actually a position that's with the district court.
Right. And so then the next one is the contract compliance / grant writer.
Right, and that's
so,
a position in the finance department.
Right, and so when we asked last year during the budget time, and is that position currently filled or is it vacant?
It's
Filled.
been recently filled within the last 2 weeks.
So we made a decision last year that we were not going to fill these positions prior to the budget being adopted. And so I don't understand why the mayor and IT are trying to hire people right before the budget so we can eliminate those positions. So I'm glad that you guys let me know that you've recently filled that position, and I will deal with the rest
All
of the
be filled
budget
because we need
accordingly.
them,
So,
particularly as we're coming back
excuse me,
to.
excuse me, Madam Mayor. Excuse me, Madam Mayor. I've been around here 12 years now. I understand that there's certain certain positions that we definitely need in the city. It just is very interesting that you're asking us on the current council meeting to hire to fill 2 grant positions with outside people to do things. And you've recently hired a grant writer / contract compliance, and we didn't get any compliance out of the last contract compliance person. And I was told by the finance director at the time, he was handling contract compliance duties.
That's why the last contract compliance officer was fired, was terminated.
Listen, Madam Mayor.
Just because we didn't get the work and because she didn't show
What
up for 3 months.
what I'm saying to you is, as
Yes.
we fill this budget, Mr. Carrington, if you can get us a list of all the vacant positions and all the positions that are filled, then we can know what we have to work with as far as what the council is going to recommend in their budget.
Okay.
So, Pro Tem Carter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to ask Mr. President, because I do not know, but at the moment, if the mayor uses search firms without council approval, I believe, and I understand that it's a violation of a charter, and I know we haven't been exercising any type of penalties for that, but we're searching and spending money on things that we have no information about when it happens. Sure, going out for a deputy mayor, it's a increase in within the budget. Is it because the money is already there? The mayor has the privilege of hiring all the council she wants without ever contacting the council. We've been in the blind. It's necessary to bring these things out in the open. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Councilwoman Waterman.
Okay, thank you. I just have one thing, Mr. Carrington. Hello?
Yep.
Okay. 101 on page 10 of 67, 101.
I'm sorry, page, what page again?
10 of 67, Mr. Carrington.
Okay, I'm with you.
101 228 81800, that's other professional services. And then I know 101 228 818 that should be for Saracon. It was increased substantially last year, but I see it didn't go up much this year. But how many employees are with Saracon
For the city of Pontiac?
that work down there in IT? I know only one I really know of is Mr. Kim Martin, who does an excellent job. So who else is there?
So we Frank or Ken can speak to that. We generally have 3 folks from that firm that are engaged on the city's contract. The city, provides the city services, and Frank or Ken can speak more to that.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Can you repeat the question, please, if you don't mind?
The question was in regards to the team that is staffing the city of Pontiac.
Okay.
You don't know how many people work for him?
There's only 3 of us.
Okay, well, who are they?
We have Ken Martin, myself, Frank Antune, and I have Kim Gamis.
Okay,
So I didn't understand the question very well. I didn't hear it because I'm in the port and there's some noise around me.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
that's it. That's
What was
what
your
I
name
needed to
again?
know. Was Ken Martin, Frank, and who else?
Kim Gamis.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Carrington.
Yes. Any questions about the budget?
Nope. I don't have any questions. Does anybody else have questions?
I don't have any questions for that group.
Okay.
Well, I just, Mr. President, I just want to make a comment all the things that was going on a few minutes ago. You know, this is quite true, Council Carter. I too have complaints from my constituents. You can't get anybody at City Hall. It's not, no one there. And I'm just going to put it out there. And I don't talk just to be rude. I'm just saying what I say. And I ask all residents, anybody, please go to City Hall if you can get in there. It's an awful mess as far as quitting all over the place. It's sad. It's sad. And I too, like you, Carter, I think someone needs to come in here. This is, I never seen a budget like this. All these accounts are open. And Mr. Carrington, it's no disrespect to you, none whatsoever. But when you take a position like that, you got to know what's going on when you come in there. And these accounts are way over. You can't give me a budget amendment and say, oops, I messed up. Did you fix this? No, it don't work like that. It's just like over budgeting at home and then you're getting ready to get thrown out. Oh, I got to fix this. This is unacceptable behavior here. It can't be fixed. These are taxpayers' money. And you're basically hiring 2 weeks prior to budget. I remember this very, very much so last year that the president mentioned, please don't hire anybody with getting ready to do budget. But every time administration go and slip into someone and do it anyway. The residents have to know this stuff, what's going on. This is unacceptable behavior. It really is. And I'm like you, Carter. We need a forensic audit. This stuff is way over. Thank you, Mr. President.
If I could just respond on the recent hire, you know, we don't hire people overnight. You know, and we've had since I've been here, you know, the grants have severely increased. You know, no one could predict so much funding that would be coming from the CARES Act, and now we have the American Rescue Plan. And so there's just a lot of activity that just did not exist if you were to go back 12 months ago. So, you know, in order for us to stay in front of this as best as possible, now we've got $37 million that will be coming, you know, through the American Rescue Plan.
God help us on that one.
And so we have to have the necessary resources and the necessary infrastructure in place. I think it just would not be a good situation if we fell behind on these items. And so that's the position was budgeted, but there was no intention of trying to do. I mean, we're probably going to have to do more when it comes to our issue of grants. In regards to just the level of activity that's going on. If you just look at the grants coming from the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan, that alone is much more work than has existed ever in recent years for the city. That type of grant funding, we were not getting directly in the way in which we are getting that type of funding now. So make sure that we have the resources in place to roles and responsibilities.
Okay, any other questions? We are at 11:09, so if there's not any other questions for this department, we'll move on to the next part of the agenda. Madam Mayor.
Are they here in the house? Let me get my calendar here.
Economic development.
Okay. Is Lynette and Miriam?
Yes, I'm promoting Lynette to a panelist right now, and I don't see Miriam. So, Ms. Phillips is now a panelist, Mayor.
Very good. I think you're
Morning.
Welcome. And what we'll have is, Lynette, you want to go through the outline of your strategic initiatives that are included in this budget, as well as later on we can touch upon the recommendations for the appropriations to be added on as a amendment because we got the announcement of the American Rescue money after we had submitted the budget. So that is available for council's preview, and then we will certainly want to have further discussion about that. Because Mr. Carrington give you the timing of that. Actually, there's an application that he filled out that goes to the federal government. We're supposed to be having the first half of that money that's available to us before the end of this fiscal year. So that's pretty quick. So that's why we needed to have some, at least, strategy for how we're going to go about deciding about it in time for that, him to submit that application. All right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, City Council. I'm going to close my door. I'm getting some feedback here. I apologize for the noise. 1 second, please. Okay, I hope that's better. Okay. Yes, good morning. Okay, so this is the Community and Economic Development Department. In terms of just some of the items that we're requesting, and of course, we're looking to utilize some of the funding from the American Rescue Plan. We submitted probably about 4 different types of projects. One would be a small business program. Our businesses have really been impacted by the pandemic. But in addition to that, we have about 1,200 businesses here in the city of Pontiac, small businesses, and that doesn't necessarily include our large employers. So we want to provide some support to these businesses in terms of helping them take their business to the next level. It could be in the format of a small business boot camp. It could be in the format of gap funding. We would also like to have a economic development commission where we would look to see how we can, provide support through subject matter experts, panelists, and those types of initiatives. Another initiative that we're looking at is a smart city, and not just smart city, but smart people, which is looking into the future, how we can offer broad bandwidth, Wi-Fi, even underground, how we could look at water leaks and security throughout the city, and also how we can support our residents within the community with broadband. Another item would be to provide support to our workers and families through unemployment and training, which is also a component of the American Rescue Plan, as well as the American Jobs Plan. So that would include, training and support to our employers as well through apprenticeships, internships, and training to upgrade work skills. Also looking at our neighborhoods, our housing, and how to provide affordable housing, assist with improving credit scores. These are initiatives that we can provide through the city. We've actually done some of that with some of our grant funding that we received, through the year, some of the pandemic funding. So we would like to continue those initiatives. Currently, our staff is very limited in terms of just the economic and community development. We have a director, we have a support person, a customer service representative. So we're definitely in need of some staff so that we can carry out on these programs and these initiatives from a technological and also from a hands-on perspective. So with those initiatives that, I'd like to move forward with really talking about our budget and how we can deploy these initiatives. Are there any questions at this point?
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Councilwoman Waterman?
Yes, thank you, sir.
All right, go ahead.
You're not Councilwoman. Mrs. Phillips, I just heard some of those initiatives, but some of those initiatives need to really be focused toward the community and housing and training. And we keep talking about small businesses and stuff, but when you do the applications, you make it so hard for the people to be able to get the money. So that's something that we really, really need to focus on, because I've known several people that want to be entrepreneurials that come in and say they can't get those grants because it's so hard to get that money. So if you're going to try to do that, you got to be friendly to some of our small businesses and young people out here who are trying to be entrepreneurs. But I want to ask you, as it relates to 101-690-702-000, salary and wages, And how many people does this deal with, and what is this overtime?
The overtime is actually for our customer service representative. I don't know if I should say her name or not,
You don't
but
have
she's
to.
okay. So she is a lone person. At one point, there were 2 people in this position, and now there's only 1. So that's where her overtime comes from.
Okay. So that salary is yours and hers, and it's a vacant. Are you looking to put somebody else in there since you said you had 2?
Yes, I'm actually looking to have a deputy director of community and economic development.
A deputy director, okay.
That was Garland's old position.
Okay. Let me see. Let's go down here to what is this professional services as it relates to the census? 101-690-816-0009.
So last year was the 2020 census. And because of the pandemic, we were limited in terms of how we could go about creating the awareness, but also getting people to participate and to be counted. So we were creative in many ways that we went about doing this. We held several virtual events. We had some outdoor events, to keep safe distancing, and also promotional materials. So those charges would have been in that category. The census is over. We were successful in achieving a 62% participation rate, which the national average was 66%.
Right. Okay, but you still haven't budgeted for census, so I guess I'm just trying to understand that.
Yeah, that item looks like that was from budgeted for 1920.
Now, I'm looking on page 20 of 67. You still have budgeted $7,000 in here.
Councilwoman, there should not be any. I don't see any.
Okay, okay, then you must have taken
I
it out of
see
them
it.
because it's in this book. So if it's taken, I'm gonna look and see what the clerk just sent me. So
I
I'm gonna
see
look
it.
here and see.
In
Am
both
I the
books.
only one to see it?
What are you looking at, Councilwoman Water?
If you look on page 20 of 67, am I
Uh-huh.
looking at something wrong?
Okay, what are you looking at? Which line?
I'm looking at 101-690-816-0009. It says professional services census.
Yes,
I
and it's
see it.
booked in at 2122 for the mayor's recommended budget.
Okay, I thought.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking at
No, you're right.
looking at 013. That is I don't think that item should be in there. I should not have included that item. I think that was probably just picked up on prior year activity. So
okay.
I will certainly make that.
Yeah,
make
okay.
that adjustment. That was not and is not needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let me see. There was something else that I wanted to. Can you tell me what 101-690-818-000 again for other professional services for $10,000? What is that?
$10,500.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, 10,500.
Finance director will have to give you the detail for that. Okay, there is
Yeah,
detail
I don't
on that, but he can get
Councilwoman, I
the
can
notes on that.
certainly provide you with that.
Okay, because it goes into 2022, 23. Okay. 101, because that was a one-time 21, 22. 101-690-818-016 professional service CDBG grant program.
And I think that's where we're capturing, Lynette, the expected CDBG activity.
I'm looking at 000. What, can you repeat that one, please?
Page 20 of 60, it's the $1.1 million that's right in the middle, and it's only on the mayor's budget. So it's the 2021, 2022. It's the biggest number on the page, right in the middle. Yep, right in the middle, Ms. Phillips. It's in the budget book, though. It might not be in your.
Michelle Lewis, can you come on board? You have the notes there from the finance director's notes. Can you come on board?
I do, yes. So the account that we're talking about here, that is in the event that you did bring your CDBG department back in-house, you would get grant funding and then you would have to spend the rest on redevelopment expenditures.
So as you know, we do have the grant award, $100,000 to bring our grant services back in-house. We did a feasibility study that says to reconstitute the grants department like we had when Tuesday was here and the others that Councilman Waterman has talked about previously, there were at the time 6 people here who ran that. And so we have done the feasibility study and said that it would be better for us to have our own department rather than paying, as we have 20% admin fee to Oakland County. So that's been $2 million over 6 years. So we did that feasibility study. I think council had told us to go ahead with that when you asked us before, you know, why do we have to keep paying this money out to Oakland County? So we proceeded with that. We got the grant. We do have the consultants that they needed us to hire to reconstitute that with all the rules. You know,
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Attorney Sharp.
We'll be hiring.
I just want to remind council, though, you just also signed the renewal contract with Oakland County for them to do that for the fiscal year. Well, not fiscal, I won't say, excuse me, I misquote with the fiscal year, but for a year in terms of them handling your CDBG. And so though you may be gearing up to do this, I would imagine that this would not be something that can be up and running as of next fiscal year.
Actually, no,
but yes, we could. And go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, well, first of all, let me ask the question. The contract that they just signed, when is that up with Oakland County for them to do?
It's up in 3 years, but before we signed it, they knew that we were working on this, that we had the grant.
I got it, but they signed the contract. That's my question. So I guess my question would be for them to contact Oakland County to make sure then, since they're aware of this happening, can they then break that contract in terms of them bringing it in-house? Because they just passed that not too long ago.
Before I signed the contract, that was the understanding we had with Oakland County.
Okay, I'm just saying the council needs to make sure that that is the case. I'm just saying the council needs to be assured that that can happen. So I'm suggesting to council that you find out if in fact you can break the contract so that you can bring it back in-house. Thank you.
And may I add that every year we renew our subrecipient agreement with the county. We have another agreement with the county for the home consortium, which is for 3 years. But in order to actually bring in-house the federal grant funding for CDBG, we have to have a staff on board so that we are prepared when it's time to apply for those federal grants. So that's why this item is in the budget for this fiscal year.
So thank you, Ms. Phillips. Just a follow-up question, Councilwoman Waterman, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So where is the projected revenue of CDBG coming back in-house listed in the budget? Or did you guys just do the staff that will be projected to need in order to ramp up that program? What I'm saying is there a reflection of the money that's coming in from the projected CDBG and the home funds for this year to offset some of that cost in this budget? Or is this just for staffing for future budgets that wouldn't be recognized to 2022?
So if I could add this too, please.
Hold on a minute, please.
Okay.
Hold on.
Council President.
Yes.
That is reflected in 101-000-528-00.
What page are you on? I'm looking in the budget book. If you can just tell me a page, that'd be helpful.
General revenues. I'd have to look and see what page it's on. I apologize.
Say that number again, 101-000-528-000.
528001.
001. Okay.
Yes, it's federal grant CDBG. And we budgeted as revenue $1.5 million because that's approximately what you're getting it through Oakland County.
Okay, I see it. It's on page 2 of 67, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Waterman.
Okay, yes. Okay, and when you're talking about this, where do we have the booking where we're paying Oakland County? Because I think I saw it, and is it $400-some thousand or $200-some thousand we're paying them to do this?
20% of our overall, and so we have Michelle probably has it year by year in the feasibility study. I don't know if she can pull that up, but over 6 years, it's about $2 million.
Yes, I don't have it offhand right now. It's between $200,000 and $300,000.
That's what
And that is taken directly from the CDBG grant. So the city does not actually pay anything right now in any expense line item, but you would see it if you were to look at the grant funding versus the usage.
Okay.
We put those salary positions in the budget because just to outline what it would be to when we activate that department. The grant consultants are only here to help to set up and to orient and to educate our people in the all the policies and procedures. The federal government is very, as you know, very strict in their policies and procedures, and they have told us that we needed to have that department in place and oriented. So those are the positions like Tuesday, I forget Tuesday's last name, but at any rate, the group who was here before, we will be hiring, if those are still available and they want to come back. And with their experience, those are the positions that we would be hiring them back for, as we have the grant consultants who will be here to train and to orient them in terms of all the new policies and procedures that have to be followed to administer those federal grants. It took us,
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to finish. It would have been nice had y'all, because that's something that we have been talking about, and I know Councilwoman Miller talks about as well as myself. It would have been nice to let us know that that's what you were planning on doing, and it probably wouldn't be so much of a hardship, and people wouldn't be so upset if we knew that this was in the plans, that you were planning on bringing this back in, and so. That's just something I wanted to say. I'm glad to know that you're thinking about bringing it back in, but it would have been nice to have let us know that was in the making.
Woman, we had talked about this in council meeting a couple different times. In fact, we had presented the feasibility study. I know we brought it to you. I don't know whether we were allowed to present it, but we did have it. And Michelle has had it in the books, and that's what we showed you. And at that time, I think we'd had some conversation with a couple of you, you too, Councilwoman Waterman, that said, let's go ahead and start bringing it back in. So that's what we've been working on. And that's what we were able to get the grant to do.
Mayor, when did you do the study? When did you do the feasibility study? When was that done?
Michelle, I don't know what the date is, but she can bring that up.
Mayor, this is Councilwoman Miller. When did you do that study? By the way, this is my subcommittee. Good afternoon, Lynette.
Hi, good afternoon.
When did you do the study? No one mentioned it in my subcommittee ever.
That feasibility study probably was done in 2018 or 2019. If I could just add in terms of CDBG. It was done last
year. It was done last year, Lynette. Michelle has it.
It was updated last year, shortly after the budget process last year.
Reason I said that, and I'm going to take this a little step further because, like I said, it's one of my subcommittees and it's never mentioned. First of all, Mayor, I remember very, very, very well. Last year, you made it very adamant clear that you wasn't going to bring CDBG funds back because there was no one adequate enough to run it. And you wanted it to stay out there. Now, I'm just going to put it out there. It looks political to me. It's like, okay, it's election year, I'll do it. I've been on this board for going on 4 years. You never wanted to bring CDBG funds back. You made it quite clear there was no one here capable of running this program. Now, all of a sudden, we get a grant. You did the study last year. I had the committee. No one mentioned it to me. And now, all of a sudden, I have no problem with CDBG people coming back. but not under the terms that you currently have it on. I'm going to just put that on the record for you until you bring some of these people back that lives here in the city, that works here in the city, that worked here, and can run that program. Other than that, I'm nowhere with that. You could use the grant money to come in and do what they need to do, but the city to spend money on something that we already know what it would take, no way, no way. That's not going to happen with me. This study was done all this time, and all of a sudden you just spring it on the council. Oh, we got someone. We're working with Oakland County. That's not the way you do business. I should have been notified. Annette, you or someone should have told me about it. I knew nothing about this study. I'm done, Mr. President.
Can I make 2 points, please? One is that when we presented the grant for $100,000, the purpose was to assess federal grants and apply for them. In my previous position, I actually wrote CDBG HUD grant funding. And the city of Pontiac, we are really at a disadvantage by going through Oakland County because we're limited to like $1 million in CDBG funds. This city, we should be getting millions of dollars. And again, the ARP funding was impacted by the fact that we are a subrecipient. We had to go back and, fight for that additional funding to get that $37.7 million. But it behooves the city to have CDBG, not just CDBG, but HUD and other federal assessments in-house. And it is not something that just anyone can do. The fact that there was a staff of 5 people here, that is what it takes, not 1 or 2 people, but it can be done. And we should be looking to do that. We could do all kinds of things, affordable housing.
That is very true, Lynette, and you just got on the board. You just came on in the last year.
1 year ago, 1 year, June 1st.
3 or 4 years. This has been going on for 3 or 4 years. We've been trying to get CDBG funds here for the last 5, 6 years. Now all of a sudden we can do it. I agree with you. CDBG should have never left here. Like a lot of other property that I feel that very passionate about should have never left the services of the city of Pontiac, like the assessor's office. I see the money that was being put out for that, the contracted with them in this budget. Money that could flow right into the city of Pontiac. I'm all about Pontiac. My passion is here. I live here. You're very correct. I want the CDBG funds back here, but no games being played. All of a sudden now we want to bring it back. We fought, my colleagues fought even before I got on the council to bring those that department back here. So please spare me about what it's going to say to the city, because I know I live here. We do need it back. And I'm not saying that you have to bring everybody back that lives in the city of Pontiac, but I said it has to be done local, to include local people. There's nothing in there for local. This is where we live. We got to take care of our own first. These people are, we can bring them in to contract them, use the grant money to show what needs to be in the rest of the department. Whether we hire someone for other cities, that's fine. But we don't even have that.
Okay.
So please don't get me started on passion with the CDBG fund, because I've been fighting for that for years.
Okay. Pro Tem Carter has had his hand up for a while. I just want to ask this question, Ms. Phillips. Has anybody been hired in these positions currently?
We did just bring on a grants person, a procurement person a week ago. She's
and what's her name?
Are you
We don't have it
referring,
listed.
to the proposed grant positions?
What I'm saying is, because Mr. Carrington, we don't know who's been hired. We're talking about community development right now, which falls under the finance department. Has there been new people hired? And so who are those people, so we can know going forward?
I know you. So there is no one within economic development. I didn't know you said.
Okay, let me ask a better question, Mr. Carrington. Who has been hired in the last month for the city of Pontiac?
The grants writer position has been filled.
What I'm saying is, who is that person? This is all public record.
Her name is Alexandra.
And we
Alexandra who?
We regularly disclose these hirings.
I don't understand where that comes from. Up until this current administration, every city employee has always been listed in the city and has always been public record with the employees because it's taxpayer money. I don't know what these new principles that you guys have. We asked for a listing of all employees that are hired to be given to the council every week. And it's
That'll be in the
supposed to be
report
item-
next Tuesday.
It's supposed to be an item. You hired these people 2 weeks ago, so that means we've had 2 council meetings since then. No, we haven't.
It's a monthly report. It'll be in the report next Tuesday.
So I just asked Mr. Carrington, who's been hired in the last month, and if you guys can just tell me that, that would be great. I'm not really trying to go back and forth with anybody over something that's simple.
He'll give you a report on that. We'll give you the report on Tuesday. That's the monthly report that we give to the council.
Well, we're going through budget hearing right now, and we're talking about community development. That position impacts community development, so I don't understand what the problem is. If you can't tell me who you've hired offhand and he's over the human resources, that's a problem.
And can you, Mr. Carrington?
Yes, that position, her name is Alexandra Borngasser. She started like a week ago. So reports, I know, Kiera regularly provided those new employee reports, but generally there's a 1 or 2 week time lag. And again, she started literally 1 week ago.
Okay, we have a council meeting every Tuesday. Pro Tem Carter, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to mention that I've been following it very closely, especially with the HUD grants. And I have documentation going all the way back to 2012 when Gary Peters intervened. And other than being political, we haven't saw anything that happened. If there's any grant money that actually comes into the city, I'm saying literally it must be replaced in a dollar for a dollar, because we haven't had anything to notify the public. And I'm not asking about any type of surveys that go out. The public needs to be notified in a timely manner, either with their water bills or with inner city something to let the people know. Right now, we're dealing with the American Recovery Plan, and dealing with that, I said last week, it is unencumbered money. It can't be in the general funds. It should have been a separate item that we could have discussed. The public should have been notified that we got $37.7 million coming in. Thankful our representatives. But other than that, we've been excluded. What the county does with our CBG money, and based on the MCL and the HUD Acts, majority of people in Pontiac will not ever qualify for any of those benefits. We've been receiving money. The county gets the money. We find 15, 20 people in Pontiac and give them some kind of chump change. And then the county gets to spend the rest of the money on anything else they wanted. This city has not had a plan on how to utilize the federal money. So with $37.7 million and no notice going out without being a political boondoggle, the public doesn't know, and the public should be admitted to have their own survey, admit what they need. And as far as housing, low housing, I hope it ain't these somebody's project they're trying to build into a school that they want to use this money for. Mr. President, I just asked that we need to have this, and I mentioned it need to be a separate budget item.
Absolutely.
We don't have the rules, even though somebody said last week that the information was sent out. We have yet to send out. It must, if it does, it doesn't come in our email. It must be come by snail mail. But we do not have the exact rules on how the money can be spent, what's allowed, what's not allowed.
Pro Tem Carter.
Mr. President.
Pro Tem Carter, we're going to have a special meeting on that. I think that the bigger question is, and where I'm getting confused at, they submitted one budget prior to the 37 million allocation. So we just need to be clear on what's in this particular budget, and then separate out that and have a meeting where we can go thoroughly through the 37 million, because I know that the mayor's already submitted some projects that she wanted to do with that money. So we need to know what those are and know how the money can be spent going forward one way or another. And especially with the 2 allotments, one of the things I'm most concerned about is we got so much money with the sale of the Silver Dome, and the budgets didn't reflect that happening, because we got, I think it was 20 million for the Silver Dome when the Lions left. The Silver Dome cost about $600,000 to operate a year. So that should have been at least 20 years worth. we were in financial ruins with the Silver Dome within 10 years. So that's a problem with that happened with that money. With $37 million, we need to be smart and plan it. One of the things I see on this budget and community development is 2 TIFA payments that haven't previously been listed in those line items, which is concerning to me because now I'm not able to track it with the previous budget with the TIFAs because they moved it to a separate department on what they want to pay into it and make a contribution. Some of these TIFAs we should be closing. And so that's one of the things that I want to ask about. We had Councilwoman Petula with her hand up, but we are going to have a meeting about the 37 million, Pro Tem Carter.
Mr. President, while you at it, will the Marriott also be included as one of the TIFA districts? Because we're not receiving any information on how that money is being utilized.
Well, we haven't received any presentation on TIFs at all.
Understand.
And so we used to have a TIFA subcommittee, which you sat on. I think it was Mayor Jakowski at the time, and somebody else. I can't remember. I think it might have been Mr. Woodward at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we haven't had a TIFA meeting in forever, and so I don't even know who would handle that at this point. But we haven't had any TIFA update as a council. So, Councilwoman Petula. Did Councilwoman Petula leave? Okay, so we're gonna move on. Does anybody else have questions for Ms. Phillips? Okay, all right, we're gonna, if you could answer my 2 questions about the TIF, they're on that same page. Ms. Phillips, I think that was, I wanna say 20, no. Yeah, community economic development. If you can look at those 2, it's 101-690-956-239.
40. TIFA 2 and 3.
Yes.
Mr. President, it's in the front of the book too. I took a look at that as well.
Yeah, but it's on page 20 of 67. So just want to know why this booking is now under economic development and because it doesn't track with the previous budgets.
Council President.
I defer to finance, please.
Yeah.
I don't know why from the previous year, so I'm going to defer to finance for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll have to follow with some details on that, but the numbers I'm seeing were captured in the same general ledger account for FY20 and FY21.
What I'm saying to you is there's no activity under 20 and 21 and 20 or no projected activity. So what I'm saying to you is I can't track it there. So Mr. Carrington, what will be helpful for me is you guys have went through probably with Plant Moran and some others and made some significant changes through the budget. If I could have a cheat sheet on the moving of major items to different departments.
So that wasn't changed. There were some columns that may not have been in the book that you're looking at, but the supplement that we provided did list the budget from last fiscal year and from the year prior to that. And in both those years for FY20 and for FY21, that specific general ledger account did have amounts that were appropriated and approved within those budgets.
Okay, so
I'll get you that information. So
what I'm saying
was redone with that.
Okay, what I'm saying to you, Mr. Carrington, is you came in a year ago and you have a way that you present a budget, and it might not have been the way that previous people looked at different funds. So what I'm saying is, if there's a simple sheet that you can give to the council that shows the major movements especially any item really over $100,000 that's in a different either department or a different category listing this time. That will be helpful.
Okay.
So we can go through. So I can
I certainly
budget.
follow up with you on that. I was just saying that one we didn't move anything differently. That one was present in the last 2 fiscal years.
No, I'm with you, but if
Okay.
I'm saying because we've got some different department groupings now than what we previously had. If we can have a sheet so I can follow along to say that now this is in community development, it might have previously just been in the general fund and not listed under community development, that would help me out when I'm going through the budget. That's what I'm saying to you. Because we have to come up with a budget that's balanced as a council. And so I need a lot of help with that. So,
Mr. President,
yes, go ahead, Councilwoman Watson.
On that, especially when we talked about DPW, when I brought up about the roads where they pulled out money and now it's in engineering, and that really has to be specified. So we can understand that, Mr. President.
Okay. Madam Mayor, if you want to introduce the next department.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Economic development, you see there's a lot of work going on in economic development lately, recently. So cable, Phil Brown is here. And I think that he does have an agenda item that he had presented last week. And so he can talk about whether passage of this agenda item in any way changes any of the figures that he had presented as part of his. Darren, if you want to go through the budget outline for council, and then Phil Brown is here for any questions. By the way, just to emphasize, underscore the fact that our system is aging right now, and that's why the resolution will be pending before you. The special presentation was given you by Phil Brown last week. This morning, he had another failure of a part of the equipment. And so that's why we're on life support right now. Just trying to keep this equipment going. So that's the agenda item that we put before you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Mr. Brown, I'm glad to, is he here? Let me make sure he's.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Before you get started, Mr. Brown, I just saw via my Facebook that the mayor had a press conference inside of the council chambers, which we voted for last Tuesday not to have anybody in council chambers. I don't know if she's got the resolution yet from the clerk so she can veto or we have to override it or whatever. I don't have any interest in dealing with anything cable until we get the council studio up to where it is. I believe we should do it all at the same time. It looks like it's $1.2 million in that budget line item, and I believe that's low. It should be at $2 million now. For the last 5 years, we've been collecting PEG funds with very little renovation there. Your salary is minimum, Mr. Brown, and I thank you for the work that you do. But it's under $100,000, and we're collecting almost $400,000 a year in PEG funds. We could have had more, but the mayor negotiated to only get half of what we could have got. So what I'm suggesting to my colleagues is that we do a complete renovation all at one time instead of piecemealing it. So they have equipment that's sorely needed. We have chambers that need to not only be clean and COVID restored, but we have a resolution that we passed almost a year ago in October that has not been addressed in any particular way. And so now I'll turn it over to Mr. Brown.
Yes. Darren, did you want to go through?
Sure. I'll get us started here, Phil, and then you can add. I think a big part of what we want to cover today is in regards to the expenditures for the equipment and the other items related to that I think are important, because that gets right to the city's ability to continue to provide and meet its obligation of providing access and coverage of all the meetings and all the governmental activities. So just in real briefly, we've got the cable fund as well as the which includes the PEG monies from AT&T and Comcast. We continue to collect those monies and we capture those within this fund. We also have, from an expenditure standpoint, we have the director, our cable director, Mr. Brown, and his salary is reflected in these numbers. But the most important thing that I think is available here is the capital outlay that's being proposed here in order to upgrade the equipment and all the infrastructure that is used within the department. And I'll allow Mr. Brown to go into that portion of the budget.
Okay. Well, pretty much what we've talked about in the last council meeting, a deal and the cost of it, which was around 169,000 estimated, which will probably be more. And that was strictly for the infrastructure and the updating of the equipment, not the council chambers. I just wanted to reiterate the importance of our infrastructure needs to be upgraded due to we will continue to have failures, but it will be value added to our qualities for our constituents. Furthermore, I also believe first, I think we need to upgrade the infrastructure, which is the fiber, change the fiber from analog to fiber, and we will start to see improvements there, and then upgrade the systems. Once one or all the systems in my office at that time, so we can start to have quality, a better viewing of all the meetings going forward.
Does anybody have questions for Mr. Brown?
Mr. President, if I might.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have no problem with that because, I've been here and I know when Clarissa was here and she's been doing things. I have no problem with upgrading, getting that done, but I just want to make sure that money comes out of the PEG fund and not out of the general fund.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Okay. Anybody else got a question for Mr. Brown?
Yes, I do.
Yep, go ahead, Councilwoman Miller.
I too wish, this was done over a year ago as well. And Mr. Brown, can you explain, I remember you coming down doing a presentation, we looked over in the council chambers, what could be done. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but it is what it is. And it is my city, and it's embarrassing. I get number of calls how the Zoom meetings and the virtual meetings are just disgraceful for the city. This could have been done a year ago. I remember you bringing up the broadband, and we had to go underground and do all these issues. When we passed last year's resolution, is there a reasoning why it was never done? The money was there. The PEG fees are there. Could you explain to me why wasn't it never done? Because I always wondered that. People fell out chairs, almost injured themselves in council chambers. And it's just embarrassing. And the thing that's so disappointing to the resident is that we have the money to do it.
Yeah, I'll explain.
But it was never done. Could you explain to me why it wasn't never done?
That was an administrative decision that Phil Brown is part of course, but I'll speak for that. And that was COVID. All right. So in the interim, we had to decide whether or not we wanted to do the temporary adjustments that needed to be to have the meetings, to continue to have meetings with the COVID restrictions we had. And in fact, we had gotten the estimates for that and actually invited in council wanted Ms. Sharp to be included in that. And we did share that with her and she had a chance to also do the input. We later decided because of the huge cost of doing that and because it was not going to fulfill all the needs of having the council meetings, and because the council had decided it was better not to do it.
So it just happened to happen in 2021. Things to make you go home.
Yes, as you know,
Mr. Brown,
I just
yeah, I know, Mayor. I hear what you're saying, but I know better all this. I listened to all this stuff because before I even got on board, we've been trying to get that council chambers fixed. it's been a disaster for the last 8 years, because I know, because I've been coming there for 15, 20. And it was under your leadership. It could have been fixed. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that the residents are running to and saying how bad it look and how they can't sit in the chairs. And all these
That's
things
why we
that's
have the
going on.
resolution before you, and if council wants to delay it further, but we do have a resolution in front of
No,
you.
we're not going to delay it. We're going to go ahead and do it. It's election year. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to show people it's election year. It's election year. And it's amazing how all these things come before we've been begging for the last time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have questions for Mr. Brown?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, we will adjourn this meeting at 11:55. Everybody have a
Thank you,
good day
sir.
and a good weekend.
Happy holidays.